All right, so thank you again very much for all of you who have joined us this evening for the Service Unit Coordinator training for the 2026 Cookie Program. I know we are looking down the barrel of fall product delivery happening here starting tomorrow. And so I do appreciate you taking time in the evening to talk about an entirely different subject while we talk about cookies. So for those of you who I have not had the pleasure to meet yet, my name is Emma Miller and I am the Director of Product Sales here for the Girl Scouts of Central Illinois. So it is my honor to be able to work with each and every one of you for both, sometimes for both or for just the cookie program, sometimes both cookies and fall products. Regardless, I have a team here of some really invested and awesome volunteers, and I just appreciate your time this evening. So as we get started, I do think that it would be helpful if we just went around real quick and introduced ourselves this way that we get a chance to see, how many years people have been service unit coordinators. Some of us are new, some of us have many years under our belts. So I will go ahead and kind of call off names as I see them on my screen to help stop any, talking over each other or anything like that. But I think it would be really nice to introduce ourselves. So the first person on my set of grids is Sheila. So Sheila, would you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Emma. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Sheila Molinaro. I have been helping with cookies for probably the last 5 years. I've been a leader for 10, so probably longer than 5 years, but at least 5 years.
Awesome. And what area do you help out with, Sheila?
I am in Pontiac, but we have a new leader in Dwight who I have contact with pretty much anybody in my area. So if you have questions and come through Pontiac, feel free to drop me a line and say hi.
Perfect, definitely. I guess I should have said with introductions, feel free to go ahead and give your name, how many years you've been volunteering, or been a service unit coordinator, and then also the area or region that you live in. So my squares rearranged a little bit here, so I'm going to call on Kristen next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen McCoy. I am in Morton. I was a cookie coordinator in my previous council in Chicago for 2 years and just moved. Gosh, it's almost been 2 full years and I've been here in Morton. And I am a leader of 12 brownies, a Daisy, and a couple juniors. And we are having a great time. And I'm actually here. Julie asked me to be here. I'm here to support Alyssa Williams in Morton's, I think, cookie cupboard. So I am kind of a fly on the wall today. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm happy to have you, and thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Julie Fonseca, you are next on my list.
Well, as Kristen said, I help with Morton Cookies, but I also help with coordinating all of Service Unit 36, which is Tazewell County. I have been doing that for, wow,
Really long
12-ish
time.
years, 12-ish years at least helping in some way. So, yeah, I feel like I could do this in my sleep, but it does change every year, so it keeps me on my toes.
Absolutely. Just enough change there to keep you excited. Thanks for being here tonight, Julie. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Megan Kuvar, you are next on my screen.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Megan Kuvar. I am going to be, this is my first year being a service unit coordinator for the Montgomery County area. So I am looking forward to learning a lot of information. I live in the southern Macoupin County area, and I actually work for Girl Scouts as well. So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Megan. Laura, you are up next.
Yes, this is Laura Mefford from Carlinville. I have been a Girl Scout volunteer, I believe, since 2011. I honestly can't tell you when I took over as service unit coordinator for Service Unit 21. It's kind of muddled there. I did start out as treasurer and somehow went from there. This will be my first year as cookie coordinator for our service unit. And I no longer have a troop. My girls are all finishing college right now. and I really enjoy working with the service unit. So
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here this evening, Laura. Next up, I have Julie Siebert. If you're able to unmute and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, this is Sabrina Lawson. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, Julie Siebert. I have been a troop leader for 12 years, and I think I have helped with and or led Service Unit 36B, which is East Peoria, cookies, for about 10 of those years. Previously helped, and now I have led it for several years. I've lost count. But yeah, great to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for being here this evening, Julie. Annie, you are next on my square of grids here.
Hi, Annie Barrington here. I'm Service Unit 107 Coordinator, Southern Macoupin County, out of Staunton. I've been our coordinator for 3 years now. I'm happy to be here. Any questions? Let me know. I'll try to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Cindy, you are next up.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to unmute.
That is okay. That's me every day, so no worries.
I'm Cindy Wilson. I'm from the Decatur area, and I've been with Girl Scouts for absolutely ever, 40 years or better. And I've been cookie coordinator forever too. So
Yes.
I'm still excited about it.
Awesome. Glad to have you here. Thank you. Kayla, you are up next.
Hi, my name is Kayla. I am the service unit coordinator for Service Unit 14. That is like the Menard County, Mason County. I think we have a little bit of Cass County in there as well. I've been a coordinator for the last 3 years, and I've been a leader for 5.
Awesome. Thank you for being here this evening, Kayla.
Thank you.
Mindy, I have you up next.
Hi, everybody. Mindy Bristol. I'm with 4B Muhammad, and I've not as long as Cindy, but I've been in one capacity or another for about 23 years. Cookies, probably at least 15 of that. I don't know. It's been a long time, but
Yes. Yes.
I
Awesome.
don't know how much longer I'll keep doing it. We keep joking this is our last year, but we keep doing it anyway.
I love hearing that. Just keep doing it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Erica, I have you up next on my grid. And if we're waiting for Erica to unmute, we can always come back to, oh, there she is.
Sorry about that.
No, no worries.
Yeah, my name's Erica. I have been a volunteer for 3 years now, and it's my first year helping with the Service Unit 7 up in the Starved Rock area. And thank you all for so many years of dedication. I am just in awe right now.
It's a pretty awesome group, so I'm glad you're a part of it, Erica. Thanks for being here this evening. Sabrina, I have you up next.
Hey, this is Sabrina. I'm 36 Part D, I believe,
Yes.
in the Pekin area. I've been with Girl Scouts for, I think, almost 10 years, and this service coordinator, five or six, something like that.
That sounds about right. Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here this evening. Jackie, I have you up next.
I'm Jackie Lamb. I am the service cookie coordinator for 19 Christian County. I was trying to figure out how many years I've been doing this cookie role, probably like maybe 5 years, but I've been a leader for 13 years.
Awesome. Thank you for being here this evening. And last but not least, I have a caller. So if you are the owner of number 217-841-0068, do you want to, or are you able to introduce yourself? May have to do some sleuthing on that one. No worries. All right. Well, again, just to echo Erica's sentiment, we are in a virtual room here, surrounded by all kinds of experience. And whether it is your first year as a service unit coordinator or this is your millionth year as a service unit coordinator, you all are an extremely valuable asset to our team. And I really feel privileged to be able to work with each and every one of you. So in this area, we have a ton of volunteers with a ton of experience. As we are going through the training, please feel free to share any tips or tricks you may have, or if you have questions, don't hesitate to share those questions as we're going along. So just a couple of housekeeping items now that we've all introduced ourselves to one another. I am going to be taking myself off of camera here very shortly. I tend to gesture quite a bit, and that distracts me. And so we're just going to cut that distraction. It also helps to keep the integrity of the recording nice and strong, along with while the main heart of the presentation is going on. If you don't mind remaining muted, I will be pausing ad nauseum throughout the training for questions. So either feel free to use the chat if you have the ability. If not, when I pause and ask for questions, feel free to take yourself off camera and ask your question live. So regardless, either way, I will cover all questions. And this way I can have a recording that is good for any of the service unit coordinators that are unable to join us this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and take myself off of camera and we'll get started this evening. So I would be remiss in starting off the training without mentioning the different training opportunities that we have for our volunteers. What you see on your screen here are the different dates and locations for our regional trainings. I think those were met with some really great feedback, and so I am excited to be able to offer these trainings once again. So you'll see the dates, the times, the locations here. Hopefully you've been seeing that in your newsletter or on other platforms as well. Make sure to register for those simply so we know how many materials to bring with us. And if you have any questions, it allows you a chance to ask those questions ahead of time as well. In addition to this, I will be recording a troop volunteer training that will be available on our website at the conclusion, probably at the conclusion of the troop training. So around December 10th, we'll say. I will have that shared on our website so that any volunteer who was unable to catch a training in person can catch that training and still have all the pertinent details at their fingertips. At this training, we will also have our troop cookie coordinator guides. I know that those are valuable resources for our troops and for myself and our staff. And so we will have those available at our trainings as well as at our local service centers beginning that first week of December. I also just want to highlight that the two trainings on December 11th and December 15th are meant to go over the software versus, digital cookie versus smart cookie for our volunteers. The in-person volunteer trainings is really kind of what we're going to be going over tonight, the heart of the program, the details about our council program and those kinds of things. And then December 11th and 15th will focus on digital cookie and smart cookies as well. So I wanted to start off too by sharing the cookie program highlights for this year. We are starting a week later after advisement from our senior leadership team as well as our baker. It was recommended that we start a week later to maybe make use of some better weather is the hope. It is still February and March in Central Illinois, so we do know what kinds of treats that can mean for us. This year's theme will be the same as fall product, the Brave, Fierce, Fun, sometimes shortened to BFF. And the mascot is different between cookies and fall product. For fall product, it was the grizzly bear. For cookies, it will be the black-footed ferret that you will see throughout the rest of this training. Now, I don't share this with all of our volunteers, but because you are almost a direct extension of our council in each of your service units, I think it's important to share the goals that we're hoping to achieve for our council in order to achieve success for our Girl Scouts and our volunteers. So first, we're looking at a gross cookie sale of around $5.3 million with a per girl average that is maintained from last year. We did see a dip in our per girl average, so that's the number of packages sold per girl, to 231 last year. And we would like to have 3,830 girls participating. And so those numbers hopefully will work out. I'm extremely encouraged by the participation we had in the fall product program. We actually exceeded our goal this year, which is I think one of the first times, if not the first time, I've been able to say that since I've taken on the director role. And so that's an exciting goal to have achieved. So I'm a firm believer in looking back at what was new last year so that way we can fully appreciate where we're going then in 26. So last year was the last year for the Toastier variety. I know it was not a super popular fan favorite, but as a Toastier lover, I am sad to see it go. However, the new cookie that we are onboarding that we'll get to see here in just a bit is going to be a really yummy addition to our lineup. We also added the Universal Studios trip to our 3,000 plus package reward level, and we had 5 Girl Scouts this year who took advantage of that opportunity instead of the Disney trip or a MacBook Pro laptop. And finally, we improved the troop cookie bonus. We offered $150. You can be earned by placing an initial order with an average of 200 packages per girl, which again is based on the PGA by the end of sales. And there does need to be a 1,000 package minimum for the initial order for that troop bonus. So we'll review that a little bit when we talk about troop finances. Taking a look at 2026, first we want to introduce the Explore More cookie. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that variety here on the next slide, but I am very excited about this opportunity for our Girl Scouts, our volunteers, and our customers as well. We are also going to see an ABC Baker's improved smart cookies experience. Really, it's going to be more on the staff side of things, but when an order is converted, if you place a planned order on a Sunday evening, once that order is approved, it changes to a cupboard to troop transfer order. And we would kind of lose the planned orders after that, not being able to tell what was a walk-in and what was a planned order. So now we're actually going to be able to see that this was a planned order, which will help us if, troops need help seeing how much they picked up on last week's planned order or something like that. We'll be able to more clearly see what that order is. We're also going to see an improved digital cookie experience. The biggest improvement here is going to be for our troop volunteers, those that use the digital cookie site for things like virtual cookie booths or things like that. Used to have to log in as a site lead versus a troop leader, and GSUSA has done away with that. It's all now under one login, so there should be less confusion with our volunteers helping run their online cookie program. And finally, we're going to see some decreased shipping fees for digital cookie orders in 2026, which again, in this day and age, we rarely get to say that something is decreasing. So I'm excited about that opportunity for our customers. And here it is again, the Explore Mores. If you haven't had a chance to try it at our regional troop trainings, we will be giving out a package for each troop that attends. It is a Rocky Road ice cream inspired cookie with flavors of chocolate, marshmallow, and toasted almond cream. I will note that because it says flavors of, there is no actual almond allergen. However, the cookie is not peanut allergy friendly. It is made with peanut flour, so it is not a cookie that is friendly to those with a nut allergy. So did want to make that note here. Before we dive into some of our service unit coordinator responsibilities, I wanted to see if there were any questions. Okay, not hearing any, we'll continue right along. Keep in mind, as you have questions, you can feel free to type them in the chat box, or again, I'll be pausing periodically throughout the training. So as a service unit coordinator, one of the biggest things that you help us to do is to train our troops and or distribute sales material. Now, as a council, we are offering those regional troop trainings. However, it may not be a bad idea to consider offering an alternative date, something that's a little bit more local. Sometimes troops don't want to travel too far, and so going to a Peoria training or a Bloomington training may be too far. But you could conduct a troop level training for your service unit during a meeting or at a different time. It can be done virtually or in person. I think there is value in an in-person training. You get that face-to-face. It's also a great way to distribute the sales material that has arrived, which is like the troop envelopes, the permission forms. Order cards have not been shipped out yet. The baker holds on to those until mid-January, and then we'll send those out so we have them the week that we are doing our service unit deliveries. But I do think that a troop level training is a good thing to offer if you have the time or the interest. It could be more of a cleanup training, but it is a great way to share out that material with your troops all at one time. You also kind of help me just keeping an eye on things in the smart cookie system. Sometimes our troop volunteers feel a little bit more comfortable reaching out to a local volunteer rather than a staff member. So if they need help with a planned order or at the end of the season placing their reward order, you do have the tools and the ability to assist them should they need any help. But as always, at the council level, we are also more than willing to help any troop volunteers or yourselves when you have any questions. The other big thing that a service unit coordinator helps me to take care of is our cookie product deliveries. So in January, our troops will place or can choose to place an initial order. And then in mid-February, those cookies will be delivered the week before the program kicks off. So that way, when the program kicks off, troops have cookies on hand. So the biggest thing that I need help with is finding a location for those cookies, similar to the fall product deliveries that we're preparing for right now. I will need a location and a date. I will talk about, excuse me, available dates here a little bit later, but we are looking at the window of February 6th through the 12th. So that Friday the 6th, and then starting again on February 9th, which is a Monday. Those are the available window. Deliveries then will end on February 12th. So that way everyone has cookies on hand ready to go February 13th when we kick off. So even if it's going to be the same location as last year, if you don't mind just confirming that with me, send me an email and let me know, hey, we're going to be at the same church as last year on February 6th, and then I'll make sure that to have that noted down. I would prefer to have these dates by December 15th. I know that that seems very early, but that allows me to share the delivery schedule with the agents prior to the holiday. That way, then we will hopefully avoid any of the scheduling overlaps or things when they like to change things at the warehouse. We have that kind of more set in stone as we move forward. At those delivery sites, you'll have dot sheets or delivery tickets. You'll help with troop pickup, and then also it could be a good time to collect any signed troop agreement forms. Membership and program will be collaborating to offer assistance at your delivery sites. I've encouraged and all but mandated that there is at least one staff member at each delivery location if they're wanted. If you are a coordinator that I've got this handled, I don't need staff, that's more than fine, but we will at least make the offer to each of our service units. That way you can give any signed troop agreements to the staff. We can take those to our offices and hold on to them, and it's a little bit less paperwork for you to have to hold on to. So Julie said, did it say we should have received materials mid-October? Yes, however, 36 may be at the Peoria office. So let me do some investigating when I am back in the office tomorrow, and I will follow up with you as soon as I can in the morning. So that leads us to our cookie basics here. I wanted to give you a really quick overview of the cookie program timeline, starting off with this December 15th date. Digital cookie girl registration emails will go live on December 15th. That does mean that girl online sales can begin. So if girls are emailing customers that live far away and they are choosing direct ship, those orders will actually arrive at the customer's home as soon as the order is processed. If it's a local customer who's shopping for girl delivery or in-person delivery, those customers can still order beginning December 15th, but they will receive a notification that their cookies will be available on or after February 13th. So it is kosher for the sales to be live starting December 15th. If you see girls sharing links on social media, that is okay. Again, we just don't want any physical cookies moving until the sale begins February 13th. January 2nd, the initial order will open in Smart Cookies so that troops are able to place or start to place their initial order. And then our booth scheduler will open on January 5th. So we'll talk a little bit more about the booth scheduler when we talk about cookie booths, but I did want you to have that January 5th date in mind. January 10th is our council cookie rally in Bloomington. That cookie rally is advertised on our website and in the adventure guide, and I do encourage you register your troops to come. It'll be a really fun time. January 19th then is when the initial order is due. Again, troops will have those 17 days to place orders in. Those will be due by 11 p.m. that evening, and those will be entered via Smart Cookie. I do want to note too that after January 19th, once the initial order is locked, then I will go in and enter any troops that had a gluten-free pre-order. So those gluten-free cookies will be included in a troop's initial order. That just has to be added manually once those close at 11 on January 19th. February 13th through March 29th is our direct sale portion. So that is the time where you will see cookies out and about in the public, cookie booths, girls going door to door, sales links being shared online. Then March 23rd through April 2nd is our reward order time period. Those reward orders are due April 2nd. And then May 15th, those rewards will be available for pickup. So as a troop volunteer or a parent, you can come in and pick those up for your Girl Scouts. I do want to note that all of these dates and more will be in the Troop Cookie Coordinator Guides that will be available during our cookie trainings. So we talked about some essential cookie paperwork. You should have received some of this paperwork already. If not, it likely went to your local service center. Either we didn't make contact before I had to share these addresses, or we had a different routing idea. Those paperwork things, though, do include things like the troop envelope, troop agreement forms, parent permission forms, and receipt books. The Troop Cookie Coordinator Guide will be available at our local service centers and at our trainings. And then order cards will be shipped to you, and council will bring additional order cards to each of our service unit deliveries in February. So you each received a portion of the paperwork that was meant for each of your service units. The remaining paperwork is available at the office. So if you need additional paperwork, you can always let me know. You can work with your local membership engagement coordinator or your program coordinator, who used to be our program specialists, to get additional paperwork for any troop needs that you may have. All of our cookies are $6 a package. I am proud to say that we are keeping that flat again for this year, so there is no increase that we have to worry about. This does mean that troops are able to trade all of their varieties at their local cupboard or service center, even the gluten-free variety, because they are all priced $6 a package. It's easy to trade those in and out. I do want to note with trades, it seemed like last year, and I'm not sure where the breakdown happened, but especially among our parents, there seemed to be confusion about council accepting cookies back. And it has been our policy for, I think, over a decade now. I've been with council for about 8 years, so for over that time, we have not been accepting cookies back from our troops. They are responsible for the cookies that they order. And so, as such, we don't take any cookies back. We will trade them. So, for example, if the trefoils just aren't selling and you'd rather have Explore Mores, we can trade those out, no problem. But we won't just straight take those cookies back from a troop or a parent. Also with trades, I do want to note that those can't be recorded in Smart Cookie. There isn't a way for us to record that a troop brought in 6 packages of trefoils and took 3 packages of Thin Mints and 3 packages of Caramel Delights. If a troop volunteer wants to keep their inventory down to the variety, I do recommend keeping that outside of Smart Cookie on an Excel spreadsheet or in Google Sheets. Otherwise, the number of general cookies in total should match in Smart Cookie, but when it gets down to the nitty-gritty varieties, we don't have a way to keep that all correct when it comes to trades. It also has become kind of the thing that we want to make sure that cookies that are being traded back to council cupboards are in good condition. So that means we can't have anything that's exhibiting damage that was not made by the shipping process. So I completely understand people get cases of cookies and there are boxes missing or things are damaged because of a forklift or the way they were shipped. Those will absolutely be exchanged, no worries. It's when things are coming in and you can tell they've sat in someone's basement and there's been water damage, or they come in and they smell very heavily of cigarette or other smoke, or they smell like pets. When those kinds of things happen, we do, as a council, reserve the right to turn away a trade simply because we can't trade those back out in good conscience. So they do have to be in good condition. Again, if they are damaged by council practice or by the shipping process, we will absolutely trade those out. But if we can tell the damage was troop or girl made or has any odor or other issues, we do reserve the right to refuse that trade. True profit is 65 cents per package sold. We do have an opt-out option that can earn troops 90 cents per package. That is for troops who are juniors or older. We will talk more about what the opt-out means for troops when we talk about rewards near the end of the program. And again, here's that $150 troop bonus with a minimum of 1,000 packages ordered on the initial order and having a 200 package per girl average by the end of the sale, and submitting all of your cookie payments by the final ACH on April 14th. Your troop will be eligible for the $150 bonus. Speaking of finances, checks can be made payable to Girl Scouts of Central Illinois, GSCI, or the actual troop number. It's whatever the troop leader feels comfortable with. We then, as a council, will complete 3 different automatic withdrawals, also known as ACH pulls. That first pull will be 1/3 of a troop's initial order balance, less any online sales. So if a troop has a strong online sale presence, their first ACH may not even happen because they've made up the balance that they would owe from their initial order. But if they do have an initial order balance, 1/3 of that will be taken on March 10th. The second ACH at a third of the mid-March balance will be March 24th, and then the final ACH, which is the remainder of the balance, will be April 14th. And then if a troop incurs any NSF or insufficient funds checks, we will work with them as a council as long as that check is submitted by June 9th next year. The biggest thing with finances that we want to make sure when we're talking to our troop volunteers are receipts. Receipts are extremely important to have a paper trail if there's any sort of question about who received what or who owes for what. Having receipts is extremely important. What we want to share with our volunteers is that anytime that cookies or money is exchanging hands, there needs to be a receipt made. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual formal piece of paper receipt. It can be a screenshot screenshot of a Facebook message or a text message. It could be a post-it note or the back of a receipt from McDonald's or whatever. But whatever paper trail that says so and so gave Troop whatever this much money, or we gave them this many cookies, saving those receipts is very, very important, especially because if a troop is experiencing issues collecting money from a Girl Scout or her caregiver, we recommend that they complete an outstanding balance form on that Girl Scout and her caregiver. I think there's a misconception among the council that this is like a bad thing. And it's not a punitive action in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it's a way to protect our troops from having their bank accounts overdrawn. So for example, if my troop 1234, if I'm having trouble collecting money from Susie and her caregiver, I'm going to complete an outstanding balance form for Susie and her parent, attach the signed parent permission form, and attach all the receipts I have and bring it to my local service center. You'll note that they're due prior to the final ACH on April 14th. So OSB forms will be due April 9th. That is because our finance team will then adjust what we are withdrawing from that troop's account based on what that outstanding balance is. So it is a way for the troop to protect its funds and not have an overdraw on their account. It also protects the troop and allows the volunteer to continue to have a great relationship. I can continue to work with Susie, and we are having a great Girl Scout time, and I'm not having to ask her for money at every single meeting and hounding mom and dad. That is now the council's job to work on collecting the debt from them. The volunteer and the Girl Scout can continue on having a great experience. So even if it's the troop leader or the troop volunteer's sister's kid or their best friend's kid or whatever the case may be, fill out that OSB form because it does protect the troop funds. And it's not, once that balance is paid, it's done. Nothing happens. Only in really severe, long-standing cases do things ever get sent to collections. Otherwise, you're working with our staff member, Courtney, who's really nice and is willing to work with a parent or a caregiver on setting up a payment plan. So that does bring us to eligibility. A Girl Scout is eligible to participate in the cookie program as long as she does not have an outstanding balance with our council and has a signed parent permission form. And troops are eligible to participate as long as they do not have an outstanding balance. And then as far as cookie profit or troop profit we do have a change this year that I want to make note of. So troops have to have at least 2 non-related Girl Scouts and 2 adults to be eligible to earn troop profit from the cookie program. So troops that do not have unrelated Girl Scouts have a couple different options. Those girls can either sell as a Juliet or what we call an IRG or IRM, and that allows them to earn a higher rate of cookie or travel dough instead of troop profit. Or troops can kind of join forces, and if you have then 2 non-related girls helping to sell from one similar pile of cookies, then their troop can earn troop profit, and we can kind of go from there. So I know that is a change from years past, so I wanted to, before we move on, to talk a little bit about smart cookies to see if there are any questions. Okay, very good. We'll keep rolling right along. So Smart Cookie System will have invitations that will be sent out on December 9th. And so that is a time for you to be able to get into the Smart Cookie System, take a look at your service unit. Troops can get in and look at their roster, kind of get a feel for Smart Cookie. So as you've heard me mention several times now, our volunteers do use 2 different cookie systems during the program. I wish that it was not the case. I do miss the days that we were all on one single platform, and I know that is the end goal here with Digital Cookie. But unfortunately, for the time being, we all have 2 systems that we get to work with right now. So when I'm talking with volunteers, usually the way I describe Smart Cookie is that it is really the logistical side of the cookie program. So if a troop is going to place an initial order or a planned order, they need to use Smart Cookie. If they are going to assign cookies to girls so that girls can receive credit for rewards and things, Smart Cookies is where they will go. When a troop wants to reserve a booth or schedule their own booth, they're going to go to Smart Cookie. So really, if anything of the logistical side of cookies is going to be done in Smart Cookies, which is our Baker software. Digital cookie then is really going to be used more by our Girl Scouts and their adults. But as volunteers, you will have access to digital cookie. Staff does have access to digital cookie, but really there's not much that we can see or do in that system. So if a troop wants to offer virtual booths, so, let's say they're going to set up at Walmart on Sunday, but they also want customers to be able to shop online and then drop by and pick up their order from Walmart. They can do that from Digital Cookie. So really anything for the online side of the program, whether it's sharing cookie links or it's doing things like that, that's going to be done in Digital Cookie. We do need volunteers to be registered adults in order to have digital cookie access because we do have the requirement of a GSUSA ID number to make a user in digital cookie. So I will, the last several years, I've been providing a document that shares, if I want to do this, do I use Smart Cookie or Digital Cookie? It was actually developed by our Baker rep, Reggie, and it was a super helpful tool that I even still find myself referencing, like, okay, if I want to schedule a booth, I'm going to go to Smart Cookie. And so we will have those documents to provide at each of our trainings. If you want a copy of that, feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to send that to you as well. So pausing here before we talk about initial order to see if there are any Smart Cookie or Digital Cookie questions. Again, I'm not belaboring this evening's training with all of the software. We will cover all of that on December 11th or December 15th, or I will have that recorded as well. Okay. So the initial order again is due January 19th by 11 p.m. and that is going to be entered in the Smart Cookie system. So when troops are thinking about an initial order, they're usually wondering how many cookies or how many cases the troop should order, but also worried about ordering too many cookies. And so as a council, we recommend 75%. So that is either 75% of a troop's last year's total sales or 75% of the troops per girl average from last year without exceeding 200 packages per girl. What this does is this means that a troop is bringing in about 3/4 of what they sold in total last year to have on hand when the sale goes live. The other inventory can be made up by planned orders throughout the sale on Sunday evenings or doing walk-in orders at service center cupboards. But having that 3/4 of the product means you'll definitely have cookies when the sale goes live, but a troop also isn't taking on the risk of having 100% of what they sold last year just in case cookies don't move the same way that they did last year. This year, I really do think that with the help of the Explore More, we won't see issues with that, but it is definitely something to keep in mind. We really don't advise bringing in any more than that 75% because that gets really risky then. So having that 75% again really does mean that girls can hit their goals, which means troops are hitting their goals and they're earning more troop profit. So we do offer some assistance when it comes to scheduling or figuring out what you're going to order initially. So if a troop is an existing troop and they've participated in cookies before, they can actually use last year's sale data or last year's per girl average and plug that into the spreadsheet and really kind of play with their order, keeping it at 75% and seeing what their variety mix would look like. Now, also this year, we have a lot of new troops, which is great. However, they don't have the historical data that our existing troops have. So for our new troops, we have a spreadsheet for them that uses the number of girls they plan to have selling and then their program grade level. So in the guide, we have, Daisy sold 308 packages per girl, Brownie sold X amount per girl. So taking that level and along with the number of girls selling, a new troop can really design their initial order as well. So we also have the ability to estimate by hand that will be in the Troop Cookie Coordinator Guide. But again, I recommend working smarter and just letting the spreadsheet do the math for you. And then you can take that and enter it into Smart Cookie. So I do want to again just really highlight the importance of the initial order and the fact that our cupboards are not designed to support the large orders that are happening initially. So initially, our troops are ordering 50, 60, 100, 200 cases of cookies. And so that's that many cookies, then times 12 is that many packages. Our cupboards have cookies and have a lot of them, but if each troop comes in wanting a 200 case order for the kickoff of cookies, we are going to deplete those cupboards really, really fast. So that is where having that initial order is extremely important because those are above and beyond what are in each of our cupboards. And that way, if you find, oh no, I need an extra 20, then come on over and do a walk-in order. But again, don't just say, I'm not going to do an initial order and I'll come in and get 500 cases the day before at the cupboard. That's risky. If a troop wants cookies to kick off the program, they definitely should place an initial order. So that initial order then will give the troops inventory of cookies, and the cookie program does require some good inventory management. So as a council, our goal is to have all of our cookies sold by March 29th. Our troops' goal should be to have all cookies sold by March 29th, and our Girl Scouts' goal should be to have all of their cookies sold by March 29th. So that does require good inventory management. So for our first-time troop leaders, we do have some really great resources on page 25 or on our website. But here are some things that we can also use to help our new volunteers when they're figuring out their inventory management. The first is to order only on commitment. So if I text my group and Susie's mom doesn't respond, I'm not going to order cookies for Susie. And always making sure that the parents or the caregivers are signing a receipt before taking possession of the cookies will also help inventory management. Another big key, not to get on my no returning cookies soapbox again, but if troops aren't allowed to return cookies to our council, it is a best practice for troops to not accept cookies back from their parents. Volunteers should also let demand dictate their troops' orders. So the first 2 weeks, over 3/4 of all of our planned orders happen in those first 2 weeks. The last quarter of sales is made up between weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that really goes to show that that demand is very high those first 2 weeks. So placing that initial order will have cookies on hand, and that way volunteers and Girl Scouts are out there when customers are ready to have those cookies for them. It's a good idea for volunteers to stay current with their inventory, and then they can utilize the planned order opportunities that we'll talk a little bit about here, a little deeper in the training. If they need extra cookies, then they can use those planned orders to get extra inventory if needed. So taking a quick look at digital cookie and what that means for our customers, wanted to pause and see if there are any questions. I haven't seen any come across the chat. Didn't know if anyone needed to unmute and ask anything. Well, you guys are just much too chatty. I'm going to ask you to, keep it down, please. But good. Hopefully that means things are making sense. And if not, please feel free to stop me for further clarification. So as you've seen throughout this training, digital cookie emails will go out to our Girl Scouts on December 15th. Our Girl Scouts and their caregivers no longer have access to Smart Cookie at all. As volunteers, troops will see girls listed on a roster in Smart Cookie, but that's basically it. That's just a troop roster. Everything that the Girl Scouts going to do with the cookie program will be done through Digital Cookie, which is at digitalcookie.girlscouts.org. So girls will receive their email. The address that we recommend to save as a safe sender is email@email.girlscouts.org. If Girl Scouts or their adults reach out to volunteers or to you about not having received that invitation email, feel free to pass that along to your program coordinator at the office, your local MEC, or myself, and we will get her uploaded quickly so that way she can get into the site, set up things, add customers, send emails, and start cookie sales. If you don't have contact information or if our volunteers don't have contact information for a specific staff member, they can always reach our customer care team at the phone number or the email that's listed on your screen. So girls will send digital cookie emails to their customers inviting them to shop from them. And our customers have three different options when shopping with girls. First, they can choose to have their cookies delivered by FedEx. There are shipping rates that we'll take a look at on the next slide, and there is a minimum for package order for shipped orders. There's also in-person delivery, which again, those cookies are delivered directly to the customer by the Girl Scout. And finally, there is a donation option as well, where we then work with different programs to get cookies to military men and women throughout the nation and abroad. What's great about Digital Cookie is that all of these things are paid via credit card, so the Girl Scout and her caregiver are not worrying about collecting any sort of physical money from their customers. So Julie asked, will contacts be saved from past years? I don't think that GSUSA has worked out that yet, but let me follow up with Heather Law from GSUSA just to get that confirmed, and I will follow up with everyone. But I want to say no, but I also want to be wrong on that. So I will look into that and follow up with you. Great question. Thank you. So as I mentioned before, I get the pleasure of saying decreased. So our shipping fees have decreased here by $1 at each tier. So tier A was $12.99 and tier B was $14.99. The $5 surcharge does remain in place for orders going to Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico, Guam, the Virgin Islands, or any APO, FPO, or DPO address. Beyond that, there isn't really any other international opportunities outside of shipping the cookies yourself, but this is a breakdown of what our customers will see as they are ordering cookies. For our in-person deliveries, this is great for anyone local. A parent will receive an email to approve or decline the order, and then they have 5 days to address the order. So they can either approve that from the email that they receive or by going onto the Digital Cookie app or website. If it isn't approved or declined in that 5-day window, then the order will revert to the customer's second choice. So as they're shopping, they'll be asked about, if your order is canceled, do you want it to be donated or do you want it to be straight canceled? And so then depending on what the customer has chosen, if that order is declined or if that 5-day window passes, then that order will either be donated or canceled. If the order is approved, then the customer will be made aware that cookies will be coming, and the Girl Scout will deliver to that customer. Again, there is no minimum order for our in-person delivery customers. How those cookies are assigned by our volunteers really depends on the troop. Some troops give girls a pre-assigned amount, so I'm going to give each girl 20 packages of cookies. They sell through those 20 packages and then come back to me and get an additional amount of cookies. And so then they are really just filling their orders and not worrying about it. Other troops like to assign cookies on an order by order basis, meaning that the Girl Scout will come and be like, I have an order for 3 Explore Mores. They get their 3 Explore Mores. The leader or the volunteer makes that transfer in the system. So it's really up to the troop and what they prefer to do. But then in the system, once the girl and her adult have delivered the cookies, they'll mark that order complete, which then tells Digital Cookie and Smart Cookie that this order is done, and those cookies then are automatically credited to the Girl Scout. So very little work for the volunteer, other than making sure that those cookies get assigned in one of those two ways. So then troop volunteers can view their Girl Scouts orders either in Smart Cookies on the Order tab or on the Digital Cookie platform as well. So that brings us to delivery. We've placed our initial order. We've waited for a bit. Girls have been sending their links and they're waiting for cookies to go live. And now cookies are ready to arrive throughout our service units. So the product sales team, which is myself, will work with you along with regional council staff and our delivery agents and warehouses to determine delivery locations and dates. Again, I would ask that you send those requests to me by December 15th. Here are some tips when we're talking with troop volunteers. When you're coming to pick up your order from the church or the warehouse or the office or wherever it may be, bring a vehicle that's large enough for all of their cookies. When in doubt, bring multiple vehicles. So many of us as service units will not allow people to pick up half of their order, go home, unpack it, and then come back and pick up the other half. That is kind of a logistical nightmare for everyone involved. So we definitely want our troop volunteers to be bringing large enough or multiple vehicles. We do provide a guide in the Troop Cookie Coordinator Guide on page 24, and that is based on a clean, empty vehicle. I would recommend that troop volunteers don't make their Sam's Club run for the month and then come pick up their cookie order, or have all of the kiddos this weekend and have to come pick up the cookie order. We want to keep people safe, so we don't want a ton of kiddos running around, but we also don't want to have to be loading up cookies around car seats and things like that. So when in doubt, bring multiple vehicles. This is also a good time for our leaders to sign and submit the troop coordinator agreement form, and then staff can collect and take those on from there. This is also a place where troops can pick up order cards. This will be the first time that they will be available to our troops, along with any additional cookie paperwork like envelopes or receipt books. Annie asked if there was a digital troop cookie coordinator guide. I do have a PDF version that I can share with you. And also, once those become available, those will be able to be downloaded from the website in the Cookies Plus section as well. So Annie, I'd be happy to send you that digital version if you would like. And again, that would be on our website then starting the first week of December as well. So perfect. We will get that taken care of here. I can also include that PDF in my follow-up to everyone tomorrow afternoon once the recording is ready. So thanks. Great question, Annie. So our service center cookie cupboards are going to be receiving their cookies the day before service unit deliveries begin. So we will be getting our cookies on Thursday, February 5th. Those are going to be delivered to Bloomington, Decatur, Peoria, and Springfield. For our Champaign and Quincy friends, as you are probably well aware, those cookie cupboards run out of your warehouse, so there's a lot less fanfare to the cookies moving than when you have thousands of cases arriving at an office. But that just kind of gives you a time frame of when cookies arrive, and then cupboards will actually open on February 6th then if needed. So we've gotten all of our deliveries done, and we move on then to the direct sale. So the direct sale is the time when cookies are out and about, cookie booths are happening. It's really that heart of the cookie season. And we also have an opportunity for troops to place a planned order once a week. And this is meant to supply additional troop inventory needs. I need some more Thin Mints. I need some additional cookies. A planned order is the way to go. What is great about planned orders is that it does not need to be ordered by the case. One thing I failed to mention when we were talking about the initial order is that it is ordered by the package, but delivered by the case. So on the initial order, if a volunteer orders 13 Thin Mints, they're going to receive 24 in the form of 2 cases because 13 is just over 1 case of cookies. On a planned order, if a volunteer says, I want 13 Thin Mints, they're going to receive 13 Thin Mints. So it is nice that we are not, adding on extra cookies for troops. They can really order exactly however many they need. There are going to be a total of 6 planned orders, one per week. Those will be due on Sunday evenings by 8 p.m. So that first planned order will be due February 15th, and our last planned order opportunity will be March 22nd. We do want to make sure, especially early on in the program, sometimes there are express cupboards or locations that are maintained by volunteers. After those express cupboards close, everything pivots to pick up at the troops' local regional service center or warehouse, depending on where that may be. And once again, a troop is going to use smart cookies to place a planned order. So our full service cupboards are going to be our cupboards out of our service centers in Bloomington, Peoria, and Springfield. Those will open February 6th and be open through roughly April 5th. That's a very ambiguous end date. These cupboards will both take walk-ins and trades of cookies. It is recommended if you're going to be traveling from a distance, just give the office a quick call and say, hey, I'm coming for some caramel delights. Do you have any? It always breaks my heart when I hear of volunteers making the drive to their service center for cookies that aren't in stock at the time. And so it's never a bad practice to reach out and just see if those varieties are available. We are going to have some extended cookie hours on the first 3 Fridays of the program. The Bloomington, Peoria, and Springfield service centers will be open from 8 to 5 p.m. instead of 8 to 12:30. That way we can facilitate some extra walk-in orders if needed as we head into the heavy booth time, especially those first couple weeks of the sale. We also have full service cupboards in Champaign, Decatur, and Quincy. So in Champaign, we serve our folks out of the Hutchcraft warehouse in Urbana. In Decatur, we do have a full service location coming soon. As many of you may know, we did sell our Decatur building earlier this fall, and so or late this summer. And so we are in the process of working with spaces being possibly donated to us to use as a cupboard. So as soon as I have information about that, I will absolutely share it. It is my goal that I will have this information by the time we're doing the Decatur regional training. And I know that my supervisor and our council president, Kelly Day, is working really hard to find a location in Decatur. So stay tuned for that full service cupboard. And then in Quincy, the full service cupboard is out of the Quincy storage warehouse and or the bus barn. They did move us last program and it actually worked out well for our volunteers. So we will most likely be at the bus barn this year as well. So at these areas, they will function as a full service cupboard. So they will have planned order pickup. You can go in and do a walk-in order, and you can come in and swap or trade cookies. Unfortunately, because these are not our council properties, we aren't able to offer any extended hours at these locations. But I know if you reach out to Kelsey in Champaign, Nichelle in Decatur, or Patria in Quincy, they would be happy to work with you to make sure that your cookie needs are met. We also have express cupboards, many of which are maintained by some of you on the call. We also bring in some other volunteers to help with our express cupboards. Most of the time, those cookies arrive on Friday, with the exception of one Quincy cupboard. And then the volunteers who run those express cupboards will facilitate times with the troops that place a planned order for pickup. Once those cookies are picked up, the cupboard is closed. Express cupboards will not have many, if any, extra cookies for walk-in orders or swaps. Sometimes the delivery agents will deliver rounded to the nearest case, so there may be a few extra packages here or there, but really beyond that, sometimes they deliver right down to the package and there aren't any extras. So I don't encourage volunteers to count on extras at an express cupboard. If they do need any extra cookies for walk-ins, they should go to their local full service cupboard. These express cupboards then are open anywhere from just the first week of the program to the first 3 weeks of the 6 order weeks. After that, then all of the planned orders are picked up at the local service center. The one region I have been remiss to mention as well is Peru. Peru does operate a bit like an express cupboard in the fact that they get their cookies on Fridays. However, the Peru cupboard will have a full 6 weeks of delivery, unlike some of these express cupboards. So it's a little bit of a hybrid cupboard where cookies are arriving each week. There isn't a ton of wiggle room for walk-in orders or swaps. I know Meg Anderson, the program coordinator for that area, would be willing to work with volunteers, but really it is kind of a hybrid cupboard. Cookies come every Friday, but it's not meant for like walk-in orders or swaps. So what a planned order really does is a planned order tells me that your troop needs cookies. And so really, if a troop wants to guarantee that they're going to have the Thin Mints or the Explore Mores or the peanut butter patties that they need, it's recommended to place a planned order. If a troop relies on just the gamble of, I'm going to just visit the cupboard and place a walk-in, you may not have varieties available to you. Even if they're sitting there in front of you, they may be on hold because they're being reserved for troops that placed the planned order. So if you need cookies, it's best to place a planned order. So if a volunteer places a planned order on a Sunday night, the goal is to have the cookies available to pick up later that following week, but depending on ABC Baker's delivery and how many pallets we're ordering, the delivery may be into the following week as well. So that's where placing the initial order is important and having those cookies on hand and then using those planned orders. That's what tells me then Monday morning, bright and early, I'm getting in and saying, okay, I'm going to need to order some cookies from the baker, or I'm going to need to move cookies from one region to another to make sure that everyone who placed an order is getting the cookies that they need. So I wanted to pause here before we talk about cookie booths to, number one, take a drink, but number two, stop and see if anyone has any questions. All right. So cookie booths are really fun. They are a great way to be out and about in the public to help meet troops' goals, especially in those high traffic, high visibility areas. So as a council, we work with several locations to offer booths. So the examples of that would be like Walmart, Schnucks, some of the malls in our region areas. But we also encourage troops to think about their own locations as well, because there are always those little community gems that we don't know about that would be a great place to host a cookie booth as well. So troops and girls can begin to host cookie booths on February 13th. GSUSA is still working on contracts with Walmart for cookie booth opportunities, so I don't have much information for you right now as far as what weekends or what timeframes those are going to look like, but I am hopeful that GSUSA will get that in gear here very shortly. So I will do our best to secure council-sponsored booth sites for our troops and our Girl Scouts because I know that those are extremely important facets of the cookie experience. So here's yet more information on Walmart. Basically, all of this is saying that I haven't been able to get into it yet. So they have not reached that national agreement. And so I don't have weekends reserved yet. But as soon as I do, as soon as that agreement is reached, I get to log into the system and make the requests with Walmart and then begin following up with them. So if your Walmart is not listed in Smart Cookie, just be patient. That might mean that it is coming. I don't know about you, but calling Walmart is always such a really super pleasant experience. And we have 35 in our footprint. So if you can imagine what that takes sometimes to get that yes from each of those Walmarts, just be patient with me and know that I am working on it if your Walmart or Sam's Club is not listed yet. So the booth scheduler is an area in Smart Cookies where troops can go and schedule booth opportunities that our council has secured. So Walmart will be in there. Schnucks should be in there once I get that agreement. And so these locations are vital for our troops. And I am extremely proud to say that last year we offered 1,833 individual booth times to troops throughout the council. So that is from, Peru to Springfield, from Quincy to Danville, all over. And when I've talked to other councils, they offer maybe 250 to 500 booth times to their troops. So I am extremely proud of the hard work that our program coordinators do. I'm proud of the work that I do to get us to that 1,800 plus booth times for our troops. So the booths are out there and we are working really hard for our volunteers. So online reservations will begin at 9 a.m. on January 5th. So January 5th through the 8th is a first come, first serve reservation time period. Each troop can sign up for 2 booths, one premium booth, which is a Walmart or a Sam's Club booth, and then one non-premium booth. After that, open reservations begin on January 9th, where troops may sign up for additional council secured booths if desired. I will continue to add locations throughout the season, but as always, our troops are not limited to just those opportunities. The one thing I do want to say with the booth scheduler is that this does directly talk to the online booth locator, that our customers can go and Google where to find Girl Scout cookies. They're directed to type in their zip code. So it's very important that our troops are actually at the booths that they've signed up for in Smart Cookie. And if you sign up for a booth and it's 8 to 3, that's not a suggested window. That's the booth time is 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have had a severe influx in customers who have reached out to us who said, I looked at this. I was told that troop 1234 was going to be at Lowe's at 5:30 p.m. I was there at 5:30 and there wasn't a troop there. And so people are using this free marketing tool, which is great. But if we have troops that are notorious for signing up for booths and then not attending them, that's causing problems and causing our customers to be unhappy. So I understand completely that things pop up, but as that happens, we do need to make sure that we are encouraging our troops to release those booths in Smart Cookies. I will show everyone how to do that when we're doing the trainings in December. Specifically the 11th and the 15th. But it's very important that those get released if they need to, because then that means that customers aren't showing up to booths that aren't being manned. And so that is ever becoming more and more of a problem. And so we're going to have to continue to look into solutions for that as we move forward in future seasons. So troop secured booth locations are just what they sound like, locations that troops have found on their own, whether it's organizations that don't want to work with council or it's that local mom and pop shop that we don't know about. But we do encourage our troops to enter those kinds of booths because, again, they'll show up on the National Cookie Locator, which is free marketing for our troops. So this is what the locator looks like. Customers type in their zip code and then a list will populate of Troop 1234 is at Lowe's, which is 3.5 miles away from you. 5.7 miles away, Troop 5678 is at Walmart. And so they have the times, the locations, people can map their way to the cookie booths, which is awesome as long as people are actually at the cookie booths. We also are going to use that cookie locator for the Secret Shopper program. So it is returning again in 26. It was very popular last year, so you never know who might be secret shopping our local booths. And so we do have only 150 patches council-wide, but it was a really, really fun program last year, and it encourages our girls to not only show booth etiquette, but also allows them an opportunity to share their goals and talk a little bit about their cookie knowledge as well. So that is a great opportunity for our troops this year. So Troop virtual booth links is the same as the Troop cookie link. Basically, it is where troops can make online sales instead of or in addition to the regular in-person cookie booths. So customers can shop and pay for the cookies online and then swing through wherever the booth may be located to pick up their order. So it's hosted virtually, but the cookies are delivered in person, and so troops can add that pickup location to the booth scheduler in Smart Cookies. And then all of those cookies are paid for, so there's no money to collect. And then leaders will assign cookies sold to girls using the Smart Cookie booth divider, just like a troop would do after a booth sale. So again, we'll go through those troop virtual booth links at our training in December. The troop ship only link is also facilitated outside of or inside of Digital Cookie. This is a link that customers can shop for shipped only orders. And this is actually zip code traceable. So if a customer beginning February 13th goes to that cookie locator we took a look at and types in their zip code, not only will they see the in-person booths that they could stop to shop at, but they will also see a rotating selection of troop links where they can shop for cookies to be shipped to them. And so then this is something that our volunteers will need to go in and assign those cookies to girls at the end of the program. But it's a really easy way to bump up troop sales with really virtually no work on the troops' part at all. So the troop will set up their digital cookie site, and then after that, they just let it go because customers will come to them via the cookie finder. So those troop links will rotate on the cookie locator via an algorithm developed by GSUSA, and then they are offered direct ship only, so there's no impact to the troop's inventory, and there's no delivery required by the troop either. And so additional training on that feature will be available in December as well. So at booths, it's always a good idea if a customer is like, oh, no, thanks, I don't want cookies, they can donate to military men or women via Operation Cookie Share. So our troops who participate earn $1 for every package donated. The original 65-cent troop profit will appear automatically. That additional 35 cents to round up to the dollar does have to be added manually, so our troops will not see that extra profit until the conclusion of the sale. Then once the sale is done, I take those orders and work with Operation Santa, Soldiers Angels, ABC Bakers, and other groups to get those cookies distributed to military men and women nation and worldwide. I've actually been able to talk with some recipients of Operation Cookie Share cookies, and whether they were here in the United States or serving internationally, they said that it was a wonderful taste of home, and it just made them feel thought of and cared for. And so that is a wonderful opportunity for our Girl Scout troops to help to give back to our military troops. As volunteers, there are 3 different ways we can enter our Operation Cookie Share donations depending on how those donations were received. So if a girl has an in-person donation or through in-person delivery, those do need to be entered into Smart Cookies. And so there's instructions for that on page 35 of the guide. Donations made at a booth can be entered via the booth divider in Smart Cookies. There's actually a column where you can divide up the cookies that have been donated. And then donations that are made from a shipped only order automatically transfer over to the girl, so there is no work on the parents or the volunteers' part. So that does bring us then to recognitions, the final portion of the program. Wanted to pause here really quick and see if anyone had any questions. All right, hearing none, let's talk about rewards. So our Girl Scouts can earn rewards in 3 different ways. She can earn them by the total boxes she sells, her digital cookie sales, and her Operation Cookie Share donations. So Girl Scouts can choose to participate in any or all of these different categories in order to earn rewards, and they're all cumulative and add up, which is really fun as well. So early on in the training, I mentioned the opt-out option. So if a troop is multi-level and has a junior, or the troop is a junior or older troop, they can choose to opt out of rewards. So what this means is that they are opting out of receiving any of the items. So the plush, the cup, the whatever it may be, along with cookie dough, travel dough, and free memberships. So they're opting out of receiving those items in order to receive an extra 90 cents per box. This option does apply to the entire troop, so it cannot be a girl by girl option. This is a great way for troops to kind of practice democracy and voting to make a decision. And then troops will need to let us know that they are opting out by choosing that option in the troop information tab. And I do ask that that is done by the day that the initial order is submitted on January 19th. The one thing that I do want to note with this is that although the troop won't receive any of the plush or anything or cookie or travel dough or free memberships, the troop and the girls will earn any earned or will receive any of their earned patches. So the theme patch, a goal getter patch, those kinds of things they will earn, but all of the other items they are opting out of receiving. So the recognition order is that final phase of the program. Reward orders do need to be placed in Smart Cookies in order for the rewards to be ordered for the troop. If the troop volunteer doesn't go in and make those selections and submit the order isn't actually placed. And so then we'll need to do a late order and order those things separately. I recommend that volunteers wait until the end to make any recognition decisions, especially because if girls continue to pick up cookies and have cookies assigned to them, rewards are going to continue to populate. So our troop volunteers will use Smart Cookies to place their reward order, and our troop cookie coordinator guide does have instructions for how to place that order. If I have to go in and finish a troop's order, it's been partially started and I have to make selections, I'm going to pick cookie dough over any of the items or travel dough. And troop reward orders are due April 2nd. I set that due date slightly past the close date of the cookie program so that any outstanding online sales can filter through, and troops still have time for all of those things to work out. And so if a troop is placing their order after April 2nd, I mean, they won't be able to enter it in Smart Cookie. They'll have to email GSCI. There will be a slight delay because then I have to place a reorder and wait for those to come and then fill those orders afterwards. Otherwise, rewards will be available for pickup by troop volunteers or parents on May 15th. And as a reminder, rewards are cumulative. The only level that is not cumulative is the 1,800 box level if a girl sells 3,000 or more packages. Otherwise, all of the rewards are cumulative. And finally, cookie dough or travel dough also accumulates. A girl could earn up to $55 in cookie dough for 500 boxes sold. So they all build on each other, so our girls walk away with some great opportunities from the cookie program. So cookie dough is online credits that gets emailed to girls after the program. And these credits can be used for registering for events or programs, registering for the next year's membership year. We're also going to take a look in a few slides at some special cookie dough only items that girls can also use that cookie dough to purchase things. They can also just buy whatever they want in the boutique as well. As volunteers, they can use Girl Scout cookie dough for troop purchases. So maybe troop crest patches or, troop something from the boutique. As long as the troop volunteers have the parent guardian signatures on the cookie dough permission form, they are good to go to use that cookie dough. If our girls want to use their cookie dough online, they do have to submit a request to transfer their cookie dough code to an online code. Those requests do need to be made by September 5th, 2026, because cookie dough expires September 19th, 2026. It can be, an up to 14-day turnaround window for GSUSA to get those codes converted. So we want to make sure that we're giving girls enough time to use their cookie dough before that expires. Travel Dough is a relatively new, I think we've been offering it for 3 years now. And it is an online credit that provides additional opportunities for girls who are more travel minded. It can be used for council sponsored trips or council sponsored travel camps, destinations, or to national convention. It cannot be used for troop trips or personal trips, only for council sponsored events. What's great about travel dough is that it can actually be earned and held for a total of 5 cookie seasons before it expires during the 5th year on that same date in September. So for our girls earning travel dough in 2026, it will expire then in September of 2031. So they have plenty of time to be able to spend that travel dough on a trip that our council sponsors. So just like cookie dough, travel dough is emailed with a code to the girls after the program, and girls will choose travel dough instead of cookie dough at each level where cookie dough is offered. I do want to note that travel dough is non-refundable, so if a girl pays travel dough towards a trip and then she ends up canceling the trip for whatever reason, if the trip is canceled by the organization, then we can look at refunding it. But if a girl then decides, I'm not going to go on the trip, we won't refund that. It also can't be transferred between Girl Scouts. So I can't hold on to it for 4 years, age out, and then give it to my sister who's a daisy. It cannot be transferred between Girl Scouts. So here's a quick look at the rewards this year. I am very happy to note that while we did move the free GSUSA membership, we only moved it up 50 packages. And while that does seem like a lot, honestly, it is at a good place, I believe. It's at kind of a stretch goal spot, but not unachievable. And it's still very then fair given the price of the membership going up in 2027. So lots of different fun opportunities for our girls. We are highlighting our council Build-A-Bear workshop at the 500 package level. Girls can choose a $75 Build-A-Bear credit. I do want to highlight that that credit is only available at our council Build-A-Bear location. If we have girls who earn or choose the Build-A-Bear credit that don't live near the Build-A-Bear location, we can work out a way for them to make sure that they get their bear with their credit. So those are just a couple of the highlights I wanted to note on the reward program, but otherwise not much has really changed other than just the items and the theme for the year. As I also mentioned earlier, we do have some cookie dough only boutique items. So these are very rough kind of mock drawings. They're the best that I could receive from the retail team at this time. But there are the prices as well as the different items that girls can choose to use their cookie dough and buy a squishmallow in a backpack or whatever items seem to draw their interest. We'll also have our $1.50 patches. So either the booth sale or the My First Cookie sale patch will be on sale for $1.50 again this year. So that brings us to resources and trainings. ABC Smart Cookie has a really robust help section as well as a Flickr site and a YouTube channel. Digital Cookie itself has a really nice help section. Right now, we are building it, but by the time we start our troop trainings in the first week of December, our Cookies Plus section on our website will be full of tip sheets, videos, training recordings, training decks, all of the different things that our volunteers and Girl Scouts need for a successful program. And finally, should anyone need any help, there's always plenty of people you can reach out to. Our council customer care team, your local program specialists. I need to change that because they are now called program coordinators. Your local membership engagement coordinator can help. Our GSCI website, the ABC Bakers help desk, or of course, I am always more than willing to help you should you have any questions as well. So that takes us to the end of this evening's training. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for the evening, but I will again just thank each and every one of you for your time this evening. I'm right at about that 90-minute mark that I wanted to be at, but feel free if you have any questions. I will stay here for a couple minutes before I end the call. Otherwise, again, I thank you for your time this evening. I hope you have a great rest of your evening and don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. I will be following up with everybody via email, probably tomorrow afternoon at some point with a link to the recording, as well as a few of the other follow-up items we talked about. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for the help that you are preparing to give me for the cookie program. And I am super excited to be able to work with each and every one of you. So thank you again. Have a great rest of your evening. Mindy, they should be coming to your house, I believe, but let me check on that here just a minute. Now that I'm not sharing, I can actually pull it up. I have them set to go to your home.
Okay, good. Do you think
Okay.
it's going to be after the delivery this week?
I do. I think right now they're on target to be delivered the week of December 4th.
Okay. I know usually it's close within a week or so.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They are coming to your house, and I'm thinking if they get shipped earlier, I've let them know, like, just let it go and send it out whenever. But they are targeting the week of December 4th.
All right. Well, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Mindy. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Emma, this is Erica. I have a quick question about fall product. I don't know if that's going to overwhelm you right now.
Oh
If
no,
it is.
go for it. Go for it.
Okay. I've had two people reach out that they had shattered candles
Oh
delivered.
no.
So I didn't know where, I haven't looked yet either, but where do I direct them or get them replaced, or what do I do?
Yeah, I am going to look up. There is a help email that I need to refresh myself with. I will send that to you in an email in the morning if that works for you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to make a note right now to Candle Customer Care, and I will send that information to you then as soon as I have it tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for letting me know about that.
And thanks for a great training tonight, too. I appreciated being on and available for it. So
Yes, and I know that the sound is going to work on the recording this time too, which is great. But please, as we're getting ready to move into cookies, Erica, don't hesitate to let me know. I am happy to answer questions. I know you work really closely with Elizabeth as well. But if there are like program specific questions to cookies or fall product, like please don't hesitate. I'm just always willing to help.
perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I hope you have a good rest of your evening, Erica.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Cindy and Mindy, if you don't need me, I'm going to go ahead and end this training. Thank you again for being with me this evening, and I hope you have a great evening, and I look forward to working with you as we talk about cookies. Have a good evening. Bye.